What are some aperture lights that you would recommend for a beginning photographer / filmmaker to get? Like, let's say you were in your shoes, beginning of COVID, like now, just starting out. What are some of your go-to lights that you think are a pretty good tool to have?
So I think if I were to like restart and have to like build my gear back up, I think the first light I would get would be like the Amaran 60X or 60D, whichever one I would use more. But they're like super cheap,
super small,
super small.
Lightweight.
I can literally throw them in my camera bag. Like they're so small. You can run them on like NPF batteries, and for how small they get pretty bright. And then you can use them for both photo and video. They have a Bowens mount, which is super, flexible, and they're like really lightweight too. So you don't have to go buy like expensive stands. You can get like the little cheapy plastic ones, and they won't like fall over. So that's definitely a light that I recommend the most to people. The only thing is it doesn't have like RGB, but if you don't use RGB, that's not a big problem. I am trying so hard to like convince Amaran to make a RGB color version of it. I'm like, please give me an RGB, because they don't have like the lowest power one they have is like a 150.
Yeah,
but it's like way.
It's a size of 300. So I'm like, it's a big difference there. So I'm like, if you can make a C version of this, I will.
And also like that one kind of bangs up against the C stand with the little power brick thing too.
Yeah. So this is a little clunkier. So if I could get like a C version of the 60X, that would be the light that I recommend. But they also just released like their new Infinity tubes, or I don't know what they're called. Yeah, Infinity bars. Infinity bars, I think. Those are also really good too, because they come with like
magnets and stuff.
Yeah, they come with magnets, and they also come with like the new kits now. Like there's ways to mount them and stuff.
Yeah.
So where in the past they kind of didn't have that. Now they also have like the little like egg crate things to like condense the light a little bit more, to give you a little bit more like shape to it. So those are also a good option, but I think the 60X would be like if I had to restart with nothing, that would be like the first light I would get.
Nice.
I still use it to this day. I was using it on the set earlier today.
Nice.
Yeah, like it is a nice light.
What about camera wise? Like, is it what kind of gear do you use?
So I actually use all Sony gear. I use my main photo camera is my A7 III, which is like 6 years old now, but I just don't have a reason to upgrade, because it takes really good photos still. I just think it was so ahead of its time when it came out that like it still holds up today. So that's my main photo camera, and then my video cameras I use an A7S III and then FX30. And then I also have a Lumix S5 because I did like a brand thing with them.
Oh, nice.
And I thought I wasn't gonna actually like it, but I actually ended up really liking it. Autofocus kind of sucks, so you have to use like manual lenses on it. But the video like footage from it is really, really good, and so is the photo, because it uses the same sensor as A7 III. So it uses a Sony sensor, and then Lumix's color science is a little bit better than Sony's. So
yeah, I just got the G7 over there. They sent that GH7. So it's Micro Four Thirds, but the autofocus is finally fixed. And you can shoot open gate, like the 5.7, which is pretty sick. So I want to play around with that. And it's got REC log. Yeah. Like you were saying, like cameras ahead of their time. I had the GH5, and that camera was like, I still use it today. It's
held up.
It had like 4K 60, like when nobody
in like
had
2016,
that.
right?
Yeah, and then the A7S III didn't come out for a while, and then they didn't drop anything. I was waiting. I was like, all right, Panasonic's going to do something. They did nothing. Yeah. So then I switched to the A7S III.
Yeah. And then the new Lumix S5 too is also really nice.
Yeah.
So that would be, and they're really affordable too. I think best like bang for buck Lumix is like on the come up for sure. Their lens options kind of suck still, but they'll get better.
Yeah, for sure. That's why you have Sigma. Yeah. They got their versions. Yeah. Yeah.
Besides gear, I feel like your style is actually really like, it's like you can tell this is a photo from if you're scrolling Pinterest or whatever. You can tell what your style like. It's very iconic. I feel like very like it's like a staple of what you do. Like, is there specific inspirations or like like certain things that you do when you look for when you're like lighting a scene or taking photos and stuff?
Yeah. So as far as like inspiration comes, all of my inspiration comes from like music. So like I'll listen to like a song and then like be like, oh, I can like see a photo in my head. I'm like, I want to shoot this photo, but have the same like vibe as this song. In my head, it makes sense. I don't like doing mood boards. I like hate doing mood boards because I feel like I don't want other people's work to bleed into mine. I don't want to be like, oh, that's a cool idea, I want to copy it. I'm trying to like, I always try to start with like a blank slate and be like, what can I come up with that fits the vibe that I'm trying to go for? And then I'll kind of that's another reason I like using constant lighting is you can just instantly see if you like something or not. You don't have to like set it up, take a photo, look at it. Yeah. So I can like instantly see. And then as far as like the lighting and why it's always like a dark and moody type of look that's just kind of like what I learned when I first had like the really dim lights, and like I had to be very, very specific on what I wanted illuminated and what I didn't. And the things that I think were like the most important, which is like getting the eyes. If you can get the eyes lit up with like a little bit of a like a little twinkle, that's just gonna make the image look really nice. And also like the Rembrandt lighting. If I can get like those two and like a little backlight, like nothing else matters, because it's like as people, you make eye contact with someone, and if you make eye contact with someone, it's like a much better connection. So if you can see someone's face, nothing else matters as much. You'll like instantly be more attracted to that, especially in portraiture work. So that's always like my main thing is as long as I can get that, then everything else is kind of like, okay, how can I make the rest of it cool? And like, using atmosphere and stuff always makes it just look cool. I'm always trying to make like a cool image. I'm not always trying to like make a statement with a photo. I feel like I have my own interpretations of my photos, but I like to leave it in like a little bit more ambiguous so that whoever is watching it or looking at it can make their own interpretation on it. And I feel like that opens it up to a lot more people versus it being like such a direct like explanation where it's like, oh, I don't really see how that is, but sure, like people that put like words in their photos. I hate that. I hate when there's like words, because it's like now you're like trying to force something onto somebody else, and they're like, maybe they won't see it, and now they're like, oh, I don't connect with it. But it was like ambiguous, and they'll make their own personal connection with it, and they'll like it more. And I feel like my work kind of does that, where multiple people can look at the same photo and like get something else out of it, because it's a little bit more open for that. It's open to interpretation.
Yeah, for sure. One thing I wanted to touch on is, when did you start making the transition? Because I know it was all photo at the beginning, right? And like behind the scenes, but then you started doing some like VFX, like video type stuff. I know you started working a little bit with, what's his name? Lux City? Is that his name?
Christian?
Oh, Christian.
Yeah, Christian. Is that his like username? I don't know why that popped in my head.
That's like, I think his like official.
All right, gotcha. Yeah, Christian
handle.
Yeah, but
like
yeah, I
TikTok
remember I saw you doing like I think that's the first time I saw you do video. I'm not sure if I'm
that
right.
was the first.
Yeah, that was like cool, because I've always known how to do video, just because in my head it makes sense going from photo to video. In my head it just makes sense. So I always knew like the rules of like the 180 degree and like this and that.
I feel like a lot of photographers don't know that though.
I know. I for some reason it just made sense in my head. Like,
did you have any video experience or any?
I like tried doing video back when I had my first camera, but it was like 8-bit footage. So I like never did anything too crazy. But I like when I was learning my camera, I was like using both photo and video mode, because I was like, I never know if I'll need to do video or not. So I was like, let me just learn both at once. So I taught myself both, and then obviously photo I just like liked way more, and it took less energy to do. So I was like, I'm gonna do that one instead. It's more efficient. But then when I started doing, so I knew how to do video, and then with video, it was kind of like, Christian was like, oh, like I want to do some content for like my new releases and stuff like that. I was like, sick. Like, he's like, do you know any video guys? I was like, I mean, I can do like a little bit of video. So we like did a few things together, and then I was like, oh wait, this is actually kind of fun. I want to do more of these. So then we did like a bunch of things, and then one day he was like, oh, like this idea is cool, but how can we make it even cooler? And in like 5th grade, I like pirated all the Adobe softwares, because me and my friends would make videos of like us like shooting lasers out of eyes, and I was using like Windows Movie Maker, so it just looked so bad. And I was like, let me find a better software. I like when I Google, I was like, what's the best like video software? Everyone was like, After Effects. I was like, all right, let me find out how to download that for free, because I had no money. So I downloaded After Effects, and then like taught myself how to do like pretty basic VFX, but it was enough to like get those videos done. So like I knew how After Effects worked, and then now with like it's come a long way since 5th grade. Like all the tools and stuff, plugins and stuff you can download. I was like, oh, like, what if we just like set you on fire? He's like, how are we gonna do that? And I was like, oh, trust me. He like did not believe me whatsoever. And then it was like actually one video that we shot here, and then he was like, I'm trusting you. I don't know how it's gonna look, but I'm trusting you. And then like we shot it, and I did the VFX on it. He's like, oh, that looks like so sick. Yeah. So that's kind of what I was like, oh, like this is like fun to do. I was like, I wonder what else I can do with like VFX. And I started like doing more stuff in After Effects again, and then I just kind of been sprinkling VFX into my videos.
I mean, I
ever
remember
since.
seeing that video because it was shot here in our vintage like living room, and I was like, what the hell? I had no idea. Like all of a sudden, at first I didn't know you did video at all because I've only known you for the photos and stuff. But then I was like, you did this video and you did all this VFX, like all this like fire comps and stuff. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy.